The bullpen could be an issue, though. Really quickly, the numbers that they have are not great either. We know we saw Matt Strahm and Jeff Hoffman each allow runs late. Carlos Estevez, who had allowed just one total earned run since May 21st. He allowed 2 this past weekend as the game was tied up heading in the bottom of the ninth. Of course, then Trey helped finish things off. And then overall for 4 of the Phillies bullpen arms in their second half ERAs, as John Stonis had tweeted out, and I know Tyler, you alluded to this, Jeff Hoffman's got a 5.11 ERA, Matt Strahm a 4.76 ERA, Orion Kirkering a 6.55 ERA, and Jose Alvarado a 5.91 ERA since the break. Now, my thought process is I actually feel like although the bullpen is still top in Major League Baseball, I feel like their drop in numbers actually directly correlates to the issues the starting pitching's having. Because to be honest, with Rangers injury, we've had to call on Tyler Phillips. We've had to call on, you can even go back to like a Michael Mercado. There's been some names that we've had to call on. Aaron's been struggling. Christopher Sanchez had been struggling. Zach had been the only one consistently able to pitch 6-7 innings. We've had to go to the bullpen a lot sooner. I mean, we saw Orion as an opener for Kolby Allard. Like, these types of things, I think, directly correlate to why the bullpen was taxed a little bit more, stretched a little bit more, maybe even used more than they needed to be compared to in the first half of the season, where you would only see them 1 or 2 innings. You'd see them because you had your top 4 starters able to go pretty consistently like 7 innings. So I think the math to me makes sense that their numbers would drop when the starting pitching was in a really bad space, also giving up a lot of runs.
Yeah, it tends to happen that way. I mean, last year you had a starting rotation that I believe ended up logging either the most or the second most innings across baseball last year. And it kind of parlayed right into the fact that the bullpen, for the most part, had some really good numbers, especially down the stretch because they were fresh. It's definitively a usage thing, and it doesn't just end with your high leverage guys. It doesn't end with Hoffman and Strahm and Alvarado and Kirkering and now Estevez. I know you've talked about this one guy plenty, but Jose Ruiz has been called upon a lot lately. And I know that it's low leverage situations for Jose Ruiz. Most time he's coming into a game like they're either, getting crushed or they're the ones doing the crushing, or your starter doesn't give you as much length as you had hoped. But Jose Ruiz is being asked to pitch a lot. And quite frankly, I think he gave up 5 runs over 2 games against Oakland back on July 14th and July 12th. Since the All-Star break, Jose Ruiz has not allowed an earned run this season, or this second half of the season. His ERA has dropped from 5.08 against Oakland to 3.89 against the Marlins, which was the last time he pitched on August 14th. But all of these guys have been asked to throw a lot of innings and a lot of high leverage innings as well, because of the gravity of them being a good team. And, when you're a good team and you're winning games more times than not, unless you're, exploding for 10 runs, you're going to kind of set up your bullpen in a way where you want to go B leverage guy, B plus leverage guy, A minus leverage guy, A leverage guy, closer. Right. And that's just how you want to set the standard up, because you want to try to, win the game. But the more, like, if you only have to use A minus A and closer, it makes things a whole lot more palatable and easy to go through than if you have to use all 5 of those guys in succession. In succession. They've just been taxed to a lot of innings this year. And part of it, again, has to do with injuries. Ranger Suarez has missed a bulk of time. Spencer Turnbull, who would have been a guy that they could have turned to for a multitude of innings out of the bullpen, has been hurt now for 2 months and probably isn't going to pitch again this year. So you're turning to Jose Ruiz, who is probably not a multi-inning guy, has worked as a multi-inning guy, but you've required innings, like you said, from Michael Mercado, from Tyler Phillips, from Kolby Allard. And you're kind of in a spot where you were with Christopher Sanchez last year, where it's like, hey, can you get me 12 outs? Can you get us once? Maybe can you get through the lineup twice without being peppered? And, Tyler Phillips had a start in Seattle where he gave up 10 earned runs and got 5 outs. I know Kolby Allard had an outing against Cleveland where he didn't get deep into the game. Michael Mercado had the outing against Chicago back like 4th of July where he didn't pitch particularly, or no, I'm sorry, it was against Atlanta where he didn't pitch.
Oh, gosh, yes.
This bullpen's just getting taxed. At some point, you're going to give up runs.
And it's no surprise that the injuries to the starting pitching is what led to, or even just the struggles of the starting pitching is what led to the slump for the Phillies. I know Ray in the chat's mentioning Turnbull was moved to 60-day IL. At best, he's going to be a bullpen arm that's ready for the playoffs. But like you said, Tyler, I don't know, given his injury history, that we'll see Spencer Turnbull again. But you think about the timeline of when Taijuan Walker and Spencer Turnbull got hurt, and then we saw Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez dealing with back spasms. Then Ranger again, he had the comebacker, he had the back spasms. Of course, he was on the IL with back injury now. All of these things directly contributed to the starting pitching getting, which was the best in the league, then dropping off. You're giving up a lot of runs, which we hadn't seen. We went from the bullpen, who Rob and his staff were literally putting out a guy here and there just to keep them fresh at one point.
They were just getting work.
They were literally to just get work. They were just, here, go pitch, go call to the bullpen in the 9th inning just to get them work.
Yeah, remember how many times people were like, Jeff Hoffman's coming in to pitch. It's 12-1, but here he is because he hasn't pitched in a week.
And now you have the need to go to them. We've had bullpen games. We've had openers. Tanner Banks and Carlos Estevez have come in at a time, unfortunately, where we're just expecting a lot from the bullpen, not to mention the offense was not giving us anything. So all of these areas of concern make sense to me that they all happen at the same time. And I think getting the starting pitching healthy, getting them back on track is where it all begins.